off and running. The EIB network in El Rushville. By the way, I just want to remind you a new email address. We scrubbed the old one. We're getting 15,000 emails every minute during the program. So we've changed it. elrushvo@eibnet.us. And I check them now and then. Be right back.
Explosion signaled the start of the attack, followed by gunfire. Special forces have poured in to counter the push. Reports are sketchy, but locals say at least some attackers have managed to enter a hospital, which is adjacent to the university. Currently, there's an exchange of fire between the extremists and security forces. A number of staff and students are trapped in classrooms.
This report is sponsored by it'seasy.com, the easiest way to obtain a passport or visa.
And we talk about the Clintons a lot, and we joke about them, and we laugh about them, in addition to everything else that we do. We criticize them, we shine light on them. But what they're doing here with this foundation is really unethical at the least, and it is really, really sleazy. Greetings, welcome back. Great to have you, Rush Limbaugh, the EIB network, again at 800-282-2882. When you just stop and think about this, and I realize that people have a jaundiced view of politics, and I realize people have a jaundiced view of the establishment, and I realize people fully understand what the establishment is and how the establishment's in a completely different world than the rest of us. They have connections, they have abilities, they have privileges, including flirting on the edges of the law that the rest of us don't have. People are very much aware of that. But I think there's been as everything happens, if it happens slowly, like the old story of the frog. You put a frog in a pan with cold water, and you put it on the stove, and you turn on the heater, and the frog starts boiling, but doesn't realize it until it's too late. It's so gradual. You adjust, the frog adjusts to the temperature as it warms up until the breaking point, when it's too late. And that's kind of the way all of this happens. This sleaze has been going on for so long, and it started out small with nobody knowing about it. Then we get little dribs and dabs of it here and there. And by the time we find out just how dirty and filthy it is, we become kind of immune to it. It's like cultural rot. 30 years ago, you couldn't say certain words on TV. The first time the words were uttered, people, that is outrageous. Remember the wardrobe malfunction, the Super Bowl, with, Janis Jackson and Justin Timberlake? Janet Jackson. There was the outrage over that. Now, that wouldn't even raise an eyebrow. These things, so what used to be outrageous is the norm. Daniel Patrick Moynihan had a name for it, defining deviancy down. And what that means is that as things deteriorate and rot, you finally give up trying to fix them because it's futile, because they're worsening in the whole. So you just give up, and what used to be illegal becomes non-criminal and then eventually legal. And then eventually everything continues in the downward spiral. That is the Clintons. The Clintons have been on a perpetual downward spiral of corruption and ethical shenanigans for so long that a revelation like this is really in and of itself, just by itself. In another era, this would have disqualified the Clintons and it would have shamed them. And they would be out of public life. But Bill Clinton didn't even suffer any shame over the Lewinsky scandal and being convicted of perjury before grand jury and grand jury testimony, losing his law license. The whole thing, he's a rock star in the Democrat Party. Monica Lewinsky's life pretty much destroyed the feminist groups in the Democrat Party who claim to exist to guard against that very thing. piled on and helped destroy Monica Lewinsky in order to protect Bill Clinton. Now, the Clinton Global Initiative and all this charitable stuff, I'm convinced that some of it is to change perceptions of Clinton from the Lewinsky scandal and everything that's part of it. And you create the Clinton Global Initiative, you time its annual meeting with the UN's annual meeting in New York in September and October. And then you come up with the Clinton Family Foundation and you totally turn yourself into good works, and it's meant to rebuild your reputation from the Lewinsky days. Because obviously Clinton doesn't want that to be the last thing in the historical record on his life or his legacy or any of that. But even trying to turn it around, even trying to straighten out, the Clintons can't do anything but go lower. They create the Clinton Global Initiative and the Clinton Family Foundation, and it becomes, it's a slush fund. They get filthy rich in curious ways that appear to be on the edge of ethical. And now Hillary, as Secretary of State, is selling access. You take this incident by itself, and you transplant it into another era in this country, and they are finished. This is a big deal. But it isn't reported as a big deal for all the obvious reasons. The media wants her elected. The media is going to protect her. The media is going to do whatever they can to shield her and cast this as something, nothing to see here, no big deal. It's just politics as usual. She's not the first. Whatever excuses they come up with. But folks, it's disqualifying. Here is a woman selling access to the United States Department of State, to donors, people donating to her personally. They're not even giving to the United States. They're giving to her. They're giving to her foundation, to her husband. And they're giving major amounts of money, $32 million here, $100 million there. Some of these shenanigans involve the United States uranium supply ending up being transferred into the hands of people in, Kazakhstan. The Clintons also have an underneath-the-table arrangement with one of the lead criminal oligarchs in Ukraine as a result of this foundation business. I mean, it's just filthy. It is, in a sane world, it's totally unacceptable. Whether you can prove criminality or not, this is one of those things where the perception of impropriety is so egregious, so obvious, so outrageous, that people would be running away from it. They wouldn't want to be tied to it. They wouldn't want to be linked to it. They wouldn't want to have any association with it for fear of being tainted by it. And yet, no such things happen. Now, there is one, and it's only one, something of that sort that's happened. It's kind of surprising to me. USA Today has an editorial, close down the Clinton Foundation. USA Today is calling for the Clinton Foundation to shut down and to transfer its charitable work to other groups. And here's what they say. The only way to eliminate the odor surrounding the foundation is to wind it down and put it in mothballs starting today and transfer its important charitable work to another large American charity like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation or some such thing. If Hillary Clinton doesn't support these steps, she boosts Trump's farcical presidential campaign. And if she's elected, she opens herself up to the same kind of pay-to-play charges that she was subject to as Secretary of State. Now listen to their reasoning for this. They're not asking her to shut it down because it's wrong. They're not asking her to shut it down because it's sleazy and unethical. They're not asking her to shut this down for any reason other than if she keeps this up, she's going to help Trump. Now we can't have that because Trump is a farce. And if she keeps this up and if she's elected, She's going to continue to open herself up to the same kind of pay-to-play charges she was subject to as sexual. Well, how much did that hurt her? None of this stuff has hurt her. And that's what the Clintons know. None of this is going to harm them. They're going to get rich, and they're going to get richer. And their rich donors are going to keep donating, and their rich donors are going to keep throwing parties, and they're going to keep throwing fundraisers, and all the friends are going to remain friends. There's nothing that's going to happen. The worst thing that can happen is this. If Hillary Clinton loses the presidency, there is literally no reason for that foundation to stay open. I'm not kidding. If she isn't elected president, you think they're going to continue to get donations of $30 million? $10 million? $1 million? There won't be any reason to give that foundation any money if she's not elected president. If she's not elected president, she's not going to be appointed something in Trump's campaign, we don't think. Stop and think of it that way. Everybody says, oh, the charity, man, it does such great work. Yeah, well, it won't survive if she doesn't win the presidency. What does that tell you about what it is? Hey, Limbaugh, you're forgetting something. You're forgetting Chelsea. I'm not forgetting her, Mr. President. I think she got a prayer being elected president, and you're not going to have people give you $30 million on the come. She's going to be elected president in 10 or 15 years. It isn't going to happen. So this is just, it is sleaze beyond the pale. Sleaze doesn't even describe what this is. But, you know, even I, and I'm guilty of this, we all laugh about it, we chuckle about it. It's the Clintons, and it's more of the same. It's just worse than what they've done prior. But there isn't any itinerant or accompanying outrage by any of the people who are uncovering, even the AP in uncovering the story. They don't really have a whole lot bad to say about it. They just are reporting the facts, which that's more than we can expect from this bunch. And of course, USA Today shut it down, but that's only because it helps Trump. Not because it's wrong, not because it's sleazy, not because it's not even democratic. This is it's beyond the pale. Now, before we end this segment, I want to circle back here. Michael Goodwin, columnist at the New York Post. The only question left for Hillary is, what else are you hiding? He is of the opinion everything we know about this doesn't explain why it's happening. And let me run through the reasons, okay? Some people I say that they want to get rich. Even I have said that there will never be enough money for the Clintons. Ever since they got into politics, ever since they went to Yale, they have been surrounded by real wealth. I mean, blue blood wealth. I mean, the kind of money that they have never even only dreamed of. And it's tough when that's your circle of friends and you don't have it. So they've had this quest to get rich and to do it as quickly as they can ever since they got married and went to Arkansas. It's been what their primary existence has been, is to get rich, to leverage everything they accomplish toward getting big money. And never will they ever have enough, is the theory. And that's why they're continuing to do this. Goodwin says the easy answers about why she did what she did. I mean, all of this stuff puts her at risk. The private email server, which she had to know was going to be discovered. This accepting donations in exchange for policy preferences for donors, pay and play. This is why risk your presidential aspirations this way. And the answer to that question is what everybody searched. There's got to be something more that we don't understand. The easy answers about why she did all of this are too obvious. Wanted to get rich, didn't want anybody to know her business. I throw in her chronic paranoia, her chronic sense of entitlement, and she and Bill had a rationale for thinking they were above the law. They had escaped his impeachment trial, so they believed they had lifetime immunity. And I believe they think they do. But it's impossible to believe that that's all there is in terms of explaining why they are doing this.